Greetings, brethren. Hausburger Donkey here with the last video in my showing off my hoard of crap. We have this little pile, and this is a story in itself. So I had a 28mm 30 Years War project that was insanely large, and I sold that off. The reason I sold it off is because I think playing 30 Years War in 28mm is something I cannot do because it's just too much stuff. You just have too much stuff on the table. It becomes very static and you can't actually fight the way you should, you know, the way they did in the 30 Years War, because you can't really employ the tactics on a... I'm never going to have more than a 6x4 table probably, so... it's ridiculous to have them in 28mm where you can have 5 regiments of infantry and that covers basically the whole table side to side. You can't have proper pike and shot tactics in that sort of environment. So I decided to get rid of all of that, except for this little box, which has some stuff that I'm going to paint up diorama style. This is going to be Protestants from around where I live and from around where I was born. And that's going to be fun at some point in the future, who knows. But yeah, definitely a bit more of a diorama style thing that'll end up mostly in my display cabinet. This box of Sidney Crosby is also full of already assembled light cavalry for the 30 Years War. Again, stuff that I assembled when I was sick in bed. And I wanted to replace the whole project with 10mm 30 Years War, because that just makes more sense on a 6x4 table. And so I have a whole bunch of Pendraken cavalry and musketeers, and then from Magnificent Little Soldiers, which are sold by, or Grand Scale 10, I think is the actual, I don't know, whatever. But this is sold by Old Glory 25s, and they're lovely little strips of pikemen, which I think is great for pikemen, because then I can drill out the hands, put pins in there, and that'll look lovely, and have the cavalry and the musketeers be a bit more loose formation, which I think fits. And that's going to be a future thing as well. Who knows? But I definitely want to do this at some point, because 30 Years War is pretty interesting, and just something that I want to do. All right, just a quick look. This one is a box that when I bought it, I already knew that this was probably going to lie around in storage for years. And I was correct, because it's still in storage and it's going to be there for a while. And it is from a Mantic Black Friday sale. A box of 50 of their Walking Dead zombies, of just random stuff. There's a police riot uniform one, and just regular zombies, and just all sorts of stuff, and a bunch of scatter terrain cars and a truck. And this was pretty damn cheap for how many zombies you get and how many of the other stuff you get. So I kind of got it because one of my sort of dreams, if I ever have a space where I can actually put a table, I want to make a post-apocalyptic table. I don't really like having, you know, tables specifically with, you know, made, you know, like a wooden wargaming board. I don't really like that anymore if it's not a specific one. So I don't like to make that for games. I like to make it for a theme. And I think a post-apocalyptic board with buildings and all sort of scatter terrain and trash and all this cool stuff, right? And zombies and things, that would be awesome. And eventually, I do wanna get onto building something like that. But I'll need space, so it'll definitely be after I move from here. Right, and then let me get that over there. And the last bit that we have now, lighting is going to be interesting. Oh no, it's actually fine. Ooh, let's see. There we go. This is the most self-indulgent project I own, because this is from my own game. So initially, as you can see on the box, it actually says Oathmark Dwarves, because I bought these before Oathmark came out and thought, I'll use them in Oathmark. But I decided against that, because I don't know, I like the actual Oathmark Dwarves more for the theme of the game. And these will be for my own game, and they're from Westwind Miniatures, their Dwarf Wars range. They're just awesome, chunky. I mean, look at this guy, how ripped he is, right? It's great. And I really like this dwarf range. It's very, very whimsical and expressive, and the figures are great. And this is going to be one of the factions in my own game. That faction also will have humans, sort of a mixed faction of river raiders, which is something you don't see dwarves do too often, but that's what I've decided they do. So yeah, that'll be for that game. But that game isn't specifically 28mm. 28mm is actually an off scale for it. It is a 15mm game first and foremost. And this was the first army I bought for it. I even painted a few of these already, and they're undead. The undead are a little bit different in my game. They are kind of a cult that worships inner beauty, and I mean that literally. They think being a skeleton is just way better than being a flesh bag, and they're a little bit deluded because obviously they are being marionetted by people who just want an undead army. But yeah, there's a bunch of cultists in here, and they like to storm and charge and have the most gory deaths possible because you know, it removes a lot of the flesh already, and it speeds up their becoming beautiful skeletal you know, members of the skeletal master race. And yeah, there's also Death Knights in here, because obviously everybody in this cult wants to become a Death Knight, you know, somebody who is a skeleton but also has a mind. But that's obviously most of them are just pawns. And then the other faction in 15mm that I have, these ones will be sort of the promo factions to, you know, balance out the game and such, are the lads. And the lads are all the big dudes. So we have giants, we have more giants, then we have smaller giants who are actually in charge of the lads because they're the smartest ones. They're yeah, they're not quite as stupid as the really big growing giants. Another one of the smart giants, and another one, and then we have giant spiders herded by giants. And we have hobgoblins, which are also part of the lads. And then there's also ogres and trolls and all sorts of stuff. All Demon World figures in this case, but I'm not going to lean just on Demon World. They just happen to have exactly the stuff I wanted for these two factions. So these two are all Demon World. Right, and that is it. That is pretty much everything I have. As I said, you missed out on one of the videos because I horrifically doxed myself with all these addresses on the boxes. But yeah, it's not that much stuff. It was a bunch of Oathmark things that you'll see soon enough anyway, because that will be most of what I do this year. I hope you enjoyed it. As you can see, I have a lot of stuff, and some of it definitely has to go. Not just the Games Workshop things. I definitely need to sell off some of the other things as well. Not entirely sure what of it yet, but that's the whole point of me getting all of it out of the basement and out of my cupboard, so I can just look it over and see what am I going to keep and what am I going to sell. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this this little bit of a strange piece of content on Easter, and I'll see you in a video soon. All right, take care, guys. Bye bye.